guys. So I miss you. I hope you miss me too. I've really been struggling with figuring out how I can talk to you and see you and teach you, and not everybody can get to the internet. Not everybody can do Skype or Zoom or different videos like that. And especially at my house, I really can't do it either. We have really bad internet at our house, and our house is way up in the woods. And so our internet's real terrible. So anyway, this week I was talking to Ani's mom, and she said maybe we should try to do videos on YouTube where I record them and then I can put them on YouTube and then you guys can see them later. And so I reached out to some of your moms and dads, and I got a bunch of messages back, and they told me that that they would love to just see me. And so here I am. I'm in Jalen's room just because it's quiet in here and she's not home right now. But I don't look very glamorous. I don't look like I'm at school, I guess, but I'm at home just like you guys are, and I'm trying to make the best of this craziness that we're in. And I went to school yesterday. I had to call Mr. Pugh and ask for permission to go into school. That's how serious all this is. But he told me I could. And so I went in and I got our phonics book, and I got some math papers, and I got our Flat Stanley read aloud that we started right before we went on this break. And I decided I'm going to try to figure this out, and I'm going to try to make a video for you guys every day or every couple days. And then I'll have to leave my house probably and go somewhere else to get it uploaded onto YouTube. That's okay. I'll do that. I don't mind. So today's our first video, and Miss Caudell doesn't really know much about YouTube, and I don't look like a YouTuber, and you guys know lots about YouTube, but I don't. But I'm going to do my best, and we'll see how it goes. I'm going to do my best, and we'll see how it goes. So my plan today was that I was going to make this welcome video, and then I was going to get our phonics book, ta-da, and I was going to try to do a phonics lesson with you guys so that your parents can see how that works, because I could just pick right up where we left off. However, as I was doing a little practice a few minutes ago, I realized that I can't have the camera in this position and do a phonics lesson because, as you can see, all of the words are backwards. And so I'm going to have to work on that. I'm going to have to find a better place in the house and have the camera set up so that it's not in this like selfie mode. It's turned around, and then that way I can do a phonics lesson with you. And so since this isn't going to work today, I thought since it's our first video, instead what I would do is I would just maybe do a read aloud from our Flat Stanley book. And that way I can just say hi and welcome and tell you guys how much I miss you, and remind you that even though you're at home, you know, every single day for probably an hour, because that should be maybe about how long it all takes, try to listen to your mom or your grandma or whoever it is. Sit down, do what you're supposed to do, get your work done for that day, and then you can play the rest of the day. Okay? It's hard on us adults too. We're having a really hard time with this, and I know that a lot of your parents are probably having a real hard time. And so you guys just try to do your best. They don't know anything about second grade, just like you don't know anything about being an adult. And so they're doing their best to help you, and then you try to do your best to help your parents too, or your grandma, or whoever it is that's doing your work with you at home, okay? Okay, so I'll do Flat Stanley read aloud first today. So just so we can remember, because it's been a long time, gosh, we're going on 4 weeks now, I think. We started this because we started our Flat Stanley projects. So it's our second Flat Stanley book, and it was Flat Stanley Escape to California. And so what happened in the beginning of the book was the Lamb Chop family was visiting some friends in San Francisco, a friend named Thomas. And they were walking down the street, and they saw a girl in a runaway wheelchair. And Stanley, he's so brave, he decided he was going to help the girl in the runaway wheelchair. And then Stanley's father was afraid that he was going to hurt himself, so he grabbed onto Stanley too. And so, if you remember, we talked about San Francisco and how it's very hilly in San Francisco because California has lots of mountains there on that side of California. And so they were rolling down a hill, and Stanley was holding onto the wheelchair. So we read all this, and then a van opened up, and the girl rolled herself right into the van with Stanley right behind her. And Stanley and Mr. Lambchop flew into the van. Okay, so they got trapped. Then they realized that actually it was all a trick and they were being kidnapped. So Stanley sat up, and he's in the back of the van right here. And there's a bunch of computer equipment in the back of the van. And he said, hey, you're kidnapping me. And it turns out the girl in the wheelchair, her name was Lily. She introduced herself, and she introduced her father. He was driving the van. And then he saw all this video equipment in the back of the van. And there was a video of Stanley standing outside on the street in San Francisco. And they had been videotaping him. And because Stanley's flat, people were taking pictures of him, and he was kind of embarrassed. And so I guess the girl decided to kidnap him then. I don't know. So there she is. She looks kind of stern. And she and Stanley started talking, and the father, and they were driving, and he said, welcome to the Redwoods. So they drove them to the Redwood Forest. And this is about where we stopped at school. And what they were talking about was, Lily said, aren't you ever tired of people looking at you and staring at you all the time? And Stanley said yes. And she said, how do you think it feels to be in a wheelchair? People do that to me all the time too. And that's about where we stopped at school. So I'm going to start, we really stopped on this page, but I'm going to start maybe around here just to get us caught up. So we know that they're in the Redwood Forest, and they're at school. That last week we talked about how the Redwood Forest was a real place in California and how big the trees were. And it was one of the places Miss Caudell had hoped to visit one day. Okay, so let's see. It says, these are the redwoods, or sequoias, said Dr. Fox. They're among the biggest, oldest trees on Earth. We foxes always come here when we have a big decision to make. Dr. Fox was Lily's father. Amazing, Stanley whispered, gazing up at the trees. Stanley, you said yourself that you're tired of others judging you by your appearance. I feel the same way, and I think it's time to change how the world sees people in wheelchairs. Stanley nodded. He knew what she meant, but how were they going to change that? By pulling off one of the greatest stunts of all time, Lily answered. I'm going to escape from Alcatraz without the use of my legs on live TV. Alcatraz, said Mr. Lambchop. The prison? Nobody has ever successfully escaped from there. I read about it in my guidebook. It's perched on a rocky island in the middle of San Francisco Bay, surrounded by shark-infested waters. They call it the Rock. The one and only, said Lily. Mr. Lambchop shook his head. But it's impossible. You might be surprised by what I can do in my wheelchair, interrupted Lily. That's the point. With that, Lily shot forward, her hands spinning both wheels so quickly they were a blur. Dirt and leaves sprayed behind her. There she is in her wheelchair. I think we may have talked about Alcatraz a little bit at school too. She curved sideways up the base of the giant redwood and then rolled up the base of another as if she were moving between a pair of skateboard ramps. Finally, she lifted herself out of the wheelchair, spun the chair around, and sat again. She came to a stop in front of them with one eyebrow raised as if to say, see? That was incredible, Stanley cried, clapping. But then he shook his head. I still don't understand how I can help you. Lily wheeled up close. Is it true that you found your way out of a pyramid in Egypt? That you trained with Oda Nobu in Japan and performed with the flying Chinese wonders in Beijing? Stanley nodded. Then help me pull off the greatest escape ever, said Lily. Stanley's heart skipped a beat. His eyes climbed the majestic trees, hundreds of feet into the air where the sun was sparkling through ancient leaves. Finally, he turned to his father and with a look that said, Can we? Mr. Lambchop sighed deeply and then cleared his throat. Get back in the van, everybody, he said. This has gone far enough. Lily and Stanley's faces fell, but then his dad winked. We need to let Mrs. Lambchop, Arthur, and Stanley's friend Thomas know that they shouldn't worry. It seems we won't be joining them again for a few days, at least. And that's the end of that chapter, so I'll stop there. So the next chapter, chapter 3, is called Introducing the Escapist. So it looks like they are going to help Lily try to change the way people feel about people in wheelchairs. So I think this is going to be a great book for us. Okay, guys, so this was my first video. Just trying to say hi and tell you guys I miss you and see how it all works. I'm going to leave the house here in a few minutes. I'm actually going to go down to school and I'm going to go through the drive-through line and I'm going to get lunches picked up. So I'm not sure if you guys have tried that. But the ladies in the lunchroom have been making lunch every single day. And I think when you go through, you get lunch and you get breakfast for the next day. And it's all free. And they'll give you as many as you want. So even if you've got little kids at your house or older kids, it doesn't matter. You can get as many as you want. And they're really trying to get us to come down and get those lunches. So I'm going to go down and get my kids' lunches. And while I'm down there, I'm going to try to upload this video and hope that it works. And in the meantime, tonight, I'm going to try, and I'll need Jalen to probably help me, but I'm going to try to set up the camera and figure it out how I can teach you guys. I'm going to give you some phonics lessons. I'm going to give you some math reminders about all of our math strategies. I'm going to do some reading and some language too. Not all in one video, but maybe one of those strategies each day for the next couple days. Okay, so that's my plan. And as soon as I have another video uploaded, I'll send your parents or whoever a message and let them know. Okay, all right. I hope you guys are being good. I miss you so much. And I know you guys get to see my face. I hope that I get to see yours soon.